This monarch changed history forever. You might have heard of her maybe in school or from your parents, or maybe you've seen the movie Elizabeth with Kate Blanchett, but how much do you really know about the Virgin Queen? How did she change the course of history? And why does she keep popping up in our culture? Hi, I'm here to introduce you to this house. This is the 2023 series all about the royals. Join me every week as we explore the British monarchy, their rich history, and their impact on us today. And there's no better place to start than with arguably one of the most influential monarchs in history, Queen Elizabeth of Farne. So let's start at the beginning. Elizabeth was born in September 1533. Her father, King Henry VIII, was obsessed with one thing, having a son. You see, Henry had recently broken from the Catholic Church and was desperate to produce an heir to secure the Tudor dynasty. Unfortunately, Elizabeth was born a girl. In fact, she was the second daughter. The eldest, Mary, would go on to become Queen Mary Queen after a short and bloody reign. Elizabeth was next in line after her younger half-brother, Edward. As a young girl, Elizabeth was intelligent and beautiful, with fiery red hair and a sharp wit. But her childhood was far from idyllic. When Elizabeth was 2, her parents divorced. And when she was 9 and a year, she was 9, her father married one of his many mistresses, which made Elizabeth and Mary illegitimate. Then Henry went on to marry Catherine Parr. Now, according to historian Tracy Borman, Elizabeth felt that her stepmother was deliberately trying to sideline her and wrote bitterly about Catherine in a letter. As a result of these tumultuous years, Elizabeth grew up angry and distrustful. But then in 1547, something amazing happened. Elizabeth's half-brother, King Edward VI, died at the age of 15, making Elizabeth the heir apparent. She was thrust into the public eye and began performing the duties of a queen, even though she was only 24 years old. However, she had a rival. Her father had named Mary, Duchess of Norfolk, as Lady of England and first among the nobility. And upon Edward's death, Mary left the country in protest. For the next 4 years, Elizabeth traveled around the countryside in elaborate style, meeting with nobles and performing royal duties. But she never lost sight of her main goal, securing the throne. When Mary returned from exile, Elizabeth fled to the safety of her sister's castle. There she remained hidden for several months while Mary attempted to take the throne. But in the end, Mary was forced to abdicate. And so Elizabeth ascended to the throne in November 1558. Over the next 44 years, she would rule over England and change history forever. One of the ways Elizabeth altered the course of history was through her relationship status. Unlike her mother and sister, who were both married to Spanish princes, Elizabeth never married. Instead, she devoted herself to her kingdom. Throughout her reign, she would use her single status to her advantage, cultivating relationships with foreign leaders and playing them against each other. For example, she had secret talks with French and Dutch representatives about forming an alliance to defeat the Spanish Armada. In the end, it was the Dutch who came out on top. Elizabeth also used her power to change the religious landscape of England. When she took the throne, the country was a mess. Mary had been a Catholic and had tried to make England a Catholic country once more. This had not gone down well with many of the English people who had converted to Protestantism during the reign of Henry VIII and Edward VI. Elizabeth's solution was to establish a new state religion called Anglicanism, which combined elements of Catholicism and Protestantism. This move angered Catholics and some Protestants, but it did buy Elizabeth support from a large portion of the population. Another way that Elizabeth changed history was through her colonization efforts. During her reign, England established its first colonies in North America. These colonies would eventually become the United States of America. Now, the story of Elizabeth of Farne is filled with all kinds of fascinating characters. There was the aforementioned Mary, Queen of Scots, who spent years plotting against her cousin and who Elizabeth had executed. There was the Earl of Leicester, a dashing young noble who was rumored to be Elizabeth's secret husband. And who could forget Sir Francis Drake, the explorer who circumnavigated the globe and helped defeat the Spanish Armada. After Elizabeth died in March 1603, her cousin, King James VI of Scotland, took the throne. And that is where we will pick up next time. Now, if you enjoyed this episode, make sure to let me know by hitting that like button. And don't forget to subscribe so you never miss an episode of this house.